MAGA cultist and pathological liar Kari Lake publicly declared that she has never told a single lie and is all about telling the truth with respect to elections, even as she is poised to lose this one in Arizona and refuses to defend her defamatory lies against a fellow Republican in court. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, Kari Lake. Listen, I think she is one of the craziest of the MAGA cultists, which is saying something given the stiff competition that she faces both in elected office and out. And after a failed gubernatorial bid against Katie Hobbs in Arizona, and we'll come back to that because she's told a bunch of doozies in terms of lies about that particular race, she is now running for the Senate seat in Arizona to replace Kyrsten Sinema, who recently announced she is not running for re-election. So now it's basically a contest between Kari Lake as the Republican candidate and Ruben Gallego, a Democratic candidate. Okay, and the polls currently favor Gallego. We'll get into that as well. But while all of that is going on, Kari Lake dropped this bombshell. It's about an 8-second clip, and it's, again, just a doozy for those of you who are familiar with the self-proclaimed governor of Arizona.
And I have not ever told a single lie. I am all about telling the truth when it comes to our elections.
I have never told a single lie, which in of itself is an obvious lie, and she's all about telling the truth in her elections, or in elections. Absolutely insane stuff. Just as a reminder, this is a clip from about a year ago on the Dan Abrams Show. He's the founder of Mediaite and News Nation. He plays a good clip to remind you of just how much Kari Lake would lie about elections.
You got to give Kari Lake credit for one thing. She's consistent. She made it clear before the Arizona election that she would only accept the outcome if she won for governor. And now she is delivering on that promise after she lost.
The way we get it changed is we get the real governor, the duly elected governor, myself in there to work with lawmakers to change.
You don't even need to finish the sentence. She lost the election. As Abrams pointed out, she never agreed to respect the outcome of the election. The only outcome she would respect is one in which she won, much like her master Donald Trump. And then after the election, which Katie Hobbs won resoundingly, Kari Lake publicly declared repeatedly that she is the actual governor of Arizona. So Kari Lake is a pathological liar who deserves nothing but contempt and disdain from you and I and everybody else, including genuine conservatives, if they actually care about principle. And all of this is in the context of a defamation suit in which Kari Lake made all sorts of disgusting lies about a fellow Republican. And when given the opportunity to defend those lies in court, she really believed them and she never told a lie. She's actually filed motions to forego doing that. She won't defend her dishonest statements about an Arizona Republican election official. Just read a bit of this. Kari Lake, a Republican Senate candidate in Arizona, who's amplified former President Donald Trump's false claims about rigged elections, has decided not to defend statements she made about a top election official in the state's most populous county who sued her for alleged defamation. Attorneys for Lake, her 2020 campaign for governor, and an affiliated nonprofit group on Tuesday asked a judge to begin the process of determining damages as part of a lawsuit brought by Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer, Republican, in his personal capacity. Attorneys not affiliated with the case say a judge must agree to the request. Richer alleged in a lawsuit filed last year that Lake, her campaign, and the group repeatedly and falsely accused him of causing Lake to lose the 2020 gubernatorial election, unleashing a barrage of threats against him and his family. Richer's complaint sought to hold Lake and her allies accountable for her claims that Richer had, quote, sabotaged the election to prevent Republican candidates, including Lake, from winning, end quote. Lake requested the judge set what is known as a default judgment hearing, which would essentially bypass the legal process for her to defend her comments. She instead wants the court to hold a hearing to determine whether damages are owed to Richer, and if so, the amount. Folks, this is a concession. She's conceding she lied about Richer. She doesn't even want to defend the veracity of her statements. She just wants to go immediately like, oh my God, am I going to have to pay? If so, how much? Okay. Truly disgusting, but par for the course for MAGA Republicans. Okay. Now, as a reminder, Kyrsten Sinema, as I said, the former Democratic senator from Arizona, who then converted, officially changed her party affiliation to independent, but still caucused mostly with the Democrats. She announced that she is not seeking re-election, which is really good because Arizona is a purple state. Democrats can and should win. and we should get a much more cooperative, pliant Democrat with progressive values than Kyrsten Sinema. Now, I'll also say again before we look at the polls, Kyrsten Sinema is better than a Republican. It's better to have Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona than a Republican, far better than Kari Lake or really any establishment Republican, because she still voted with President Biden's agenda the vast majority of the time. That said, we can do a hell of a lot better than Kyrsten Sinema, and hopefully Ruben Gallego will be just that. And right now, the polls are really good for Gallego. He is up by 3% or 3 points, 6 points, 4 points, according to the RCP average. That may change, but it's not going well for Kari Lake in a one-to-one contest so far with Ruben Gallego, mostly because, for the most part, Americans really don't want extreme Republicans. NBC also has a really good article out that about Kari Lake struggling to gain traction because she's been so divisive, right? And we've seen this. We've talked about this. We talked about this with our buddy Luke Beasley. I know he's talked about it on his channel, which is that Kari Lake is trying. She's doing the thing that she fell into the trap that a lot of Republicans fall into, certainly MAGA Republicans. And it's particularly ironic because she helped create the trap that snared her, which is that to win the primary, you probably need to be as close as Donald Trump as possible, the cult leader of the Republican Party. So she went full bore into the cult, right? Clung to him, hewed to him as much as possible. Well, that helps you in the short term in the primary. And it helped her. But now she has to win in general, and she can't win with just Republican votes, given that they tend to be outnumbered. So she has to appeal to moderates, centrists, and independents. So now in the general, she's trying to be less divisive. She's trying to make amends, for example, publicly, we talked about this, with Meghan McCain, the daughter of the late Arizona Republican senator and statesman John McCain, whom she and Donald Trump, she being Kari Lake and Donald Trump, publicly mocked and disdained even after his death. Now she's trying to make up for that. And like, hey, just kidding. Can we be friends now? Because I really need you in the general. And Meghan McCain is not having any of it. So Kari Lake is finding herself in a really difficult position, which is that, oh my God, I talk crazy and say all sorts of crazy MAGA things for years, and then I try to let go of it when it's convenient, and people aren't buying it? Of course not. And you should be punished electorally for it. Nobody should ever believe you. Nobody should believe Kari Lake. Everybody should have disdain for Kari Lake. Kari Lake is crazy and deserves contempt. She deserves to lose every attempt at elected public office. Now, she's welcome, as Liz Cheney does, to try to find her road to redemption, to take amends for her actions, as an election denier, as somebody who has fomented extremism in the Republican Party. She has an opportunity. She wants to publicly apologize for that, to admit that she was wrong, that Joe Biden is the free and fair and legitimate president of the United States, and that Donald Trump is a loser, and she was a loser too, and she's going to dedicate the rest of her life to non-loser enterprises like electing morally and ethically superior Democrats. But she's not going to do that. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. And right now she's feeling the consequences of that. And hopefully she will continue to feel the consequences of that politically and electorally up until the election. Hopefully she will lose that election as well. And right now the signs are looking really, really good. But she really wants you to believe she's never told a lie. Well, Kari Lake doesn't lie. Are you kidding me? Of course, that's all she does. That's all she knows how to do. As a matter of fact, a really good test of whether or not Kari Lake is telling a lie is her mouth open? Are mouth sounds coming out of her mouth orifice? If so, she's probably lying. Anyway, I thought it was hilarious that she would publicly declare that unironically, no self-awareness whatsoever, or just no shame. And let me know what you think in the comments.